Hi everyone, welcome to Nonprofit is Business channel. So glad to have you here. Today we're going to talk about 4 quick tips as you are preparing your annual budget for a nonprofit. But before we dive in, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you like and share it as well. Share the good news. And also, as you are preparing for the holidays, if you're looking for ideas for staff gifts or for that nonprofit staff member or family member or friend who you want to appreciate, to show them that you understand that they are a part of a business as a nonprofit, please make sure that you go to NonprofitIsBusiness.com, check out our merch there, and make some purchases for those you love and care about. All right, so let's dive right into 4 quick tips. The very first thing is, you are preparing your budget, you want to make sure that you are thoughtful of a narrative. That narrative, it tells the story about what as an organization you care about, or if you are preparing a department budget, what do you care about as a department for the next year? What are you going to focus on? Are you focusing on professional development? Are you focusing on exposure, whether it's through travel? Are you focused on making sure that there are specific programs that you really want to lean into the coming year? Because when someone looks at your budget, it should tell the story. It should be very clear to them what your focus will be, or your key foci for the coming year. So make sure that you're very clear on that narrative as you are developing your budget. Second, the other thing you want to make sure that you do is you compare your financials from the prior year to what you are budgeting. You want to make sure that you take a look at month over month, year over year. What are the expenses that were spent? Because it will give you a sense of what you may want to budget for the current year. Now, keep in mind, there are some things that may have been for just one year that you expensed in the prior year. So that means it wouldn't be applicable in the current year or the year that you're preparing for. So be very thoughtful and take some time to look at your prior year numbers every month, every year, and the prior year in sum. You want to make sure that you're being thoughtful, that you aren't inflating costs, and that also you're not putting too little into those different line items, to make sure that, again, whatever you're putting into your budget, let's tie back to the very first thing, that it helps to support the narrative or the story you want the budget to tell about the direction you're going for the next year. The third thing is, be thoughtful, be reasonable. Certainly as you are looking at the prior year, and those numbers, you want to certainly make sure there is a comparison with regard to what you expect to expend in the coming year. When you're really thinking about the revenue part of it, you want to also be thoughtful of what you know is in the pipeline, which is why it's good to have multi-year supports or multi-year commitments. But also you want to think about where you could stretch a little bit. Don't be unreasonable. If you know you have not talked to a funder, you've had zero contact with them, don't put them in your revenue line items. Don't expect money from someone you have no relationship with. But if you have moved a funder along in a conversation, or even a donor, and you feel like that is a strong possibility and it's a reasonable stretch, I'm not talking about $1 million stretch, a stretch that makes sense for what you believe you can actually receive during that year, then add that stretch in there. But just also make sure you're also balancing out what's reasonable, comparable to the stretch. All right, so we have narrative, comparison to the prior year, reasonable versus stretch, and then the last one is collaboration. It is going to be important that you collaborate with team members, whether it's your finance team or the finance lead, bookkeeper, accountant, whoever is taking care of your books. One, you need to make sure that you're sharing the ideas that you have around stretch, especially stretch, with them, and listen to them. They should be the experts in what they are doing, and they should be able to provide you wise counsel. You also want to talk to your colleagues across the different departments or leadership areas, because some of the things that you may want to do may parlay with some of the things they want to do, and you don't want to have your overall organizational budget with duplicate numbers or duplicated numbers for projects that could likely sit in one area or be split off into 2, depending on what is being expensed. So make sure that you're talking with your colleagues, you all are collaborating, you're communicating, because that will help make sure that your budget is clear and that it lacks duplication, that it is efficient and as streamlined as possible. The last thing I will tell you, which is not a tip, but just be prepared during the budget season to experience cuts. So once you give usually what you really, really hope and dream for, whether it's in the category of revenue or expenses, it is the responsibility of someone in your organization, likely your CFO, your bookkeeper, controller, or CEO, executive director. Someone will be responsible for taking another look to make any necessary cuts, because that's just the way it has to be. We have to make cuts in the business that is nonprofits. You want to make sure that your budget going into the next year it makes sense. Again, it tells a story, but also it's something that can be supported. And if it is put, or when it is put before a board, it can be defended and a board can get behind that effort. All right, so those are the 4 key tips: narrative, the comparison, reasonable with stretch, as well as collaboration. And then of course, you just have to expect that cuts are going to happen. It's so good to see you all here. Thank you for being with me today. I look forward to the next time we talk. Make sure that you subscribe, like, follow us on social media. Go to Instagram, Facebook, and also LinkedIn, and it's at NonprofitIsBusiness. Now, if you go over to Twitter, you will see at NonprofitIsBiz. I look forward to seeing you on those social media platforms. Again, make sure you go to NonprofitIsBusiness.com, get you some merch, or get some for your staff, your friends, your loved ones. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Take care.